What up, Wastelanders? Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal. Thanks for joining me once again for another conversion video. Now, over the past 11 videos, we've been focusing on different sponsors, which means we only have 2 more left. Scarlet is going to be next time around, but I finally got the casting, and it's going to be a big one. So that means that this time around, we're going to be doing Verney. And for Verney, we're going to be using this Polestar TRX. Now, Verney is known for making Frankenstein monster kind of builds, but their perks are technology and build. So this one looks very technology as a casting, so I'm going to do my best to make it more into a Frankenstein's monster using some kind of random parts that may not fit well in the same category, but still utilizing Verney's junk in the trunk perk as well. So that's what we're going to do with this one. It should turn out pretty cool in the end, but you know what we got to do? First things first, we got to get this baby apart, get her in the stripper. Alright, so we're all primed up and ready to go. Now for this build, I am going to be using some different paints that I've only used on 2 different builds before just because I couldn't wait to use the paints after getting them. I've had them for a little over a week. I saw these on the internet somewhere and decided to check them out. This is the SMS Scale Modeler Supply brand, and I think they're out of Australia or New Zealand or something like that. But they are pretty much, from these ones what I've played with, kind of just for your airbrush. It says airbrush ready. It is airbrush ready. It's got more of a stronger scent to it, so definitely you'll mask up anything else. But from what I've seen so far, it works just outstanding. Now I've got the metallic steel, which is what we're going to be doing a base coat of this Polestar TRX. But then I've also got this color change one, and it's called Toxic Spill. Now I've used it on black, which is kind of the recommended. It turned out really cool. I've also used it on red, which made it more of a pinkish. Turned out just awesome. So I want to try it on the metallic steel. So first we're going to do metallic steel, let that dry, and then go over it with some Toxic Spill. Kind of, you know, I don't know what to expect. If it turns out crap, I'll just strip it down and paint it again. Have some ideas for what we're going to be using for the wheels, some tracks, and some futuristic looking wheels. Lots of dropped weapon options. It is Verney, you get unlimited dropped weapons. Obviously I want to do something with the surfboard things so they don't look like surfboards, but definitely have to get it painted and back together and just kind of decide where to go from there. So let's start off with the metallic steel, then we'll hit it with the Toxic Spill and get it together and see what we got. So let's do it. Alright, so we're all back together and painted up and everything. You can kind of see the sheen as I twist from side to side. See, it's kind of purple and goes to green. So that's the iridescence, the color shifting from the Toxic Spill. It really is very cool. I did paint the top portion of the hood, the windshield and stuff, because it's all black plastic, and I painted the undercarriage in steel as well. I am going to go through and do another coat with the Toxic Spill to cover all that stuff, but first I want to talk about how we're going to handle where the surfboards are at. So the material that I make that I normally use for like cracked windshields and stuff is you just take regular like school glue, white glue, whatever, lay it out on a thin sheet of wax paper, like a very, very, very thin sheet, and then sprinkle on the AK Ice Sparkles so it's well coated in the glue. Let it sit overnight, and then it becomes this really pliable, frosted looking thing, and it works well for doing shattered windows and stuff. We'll have to do a video on it. I saw a video on it, so maybe I can find the link. Anyway, that's the material that I'm going to be using to cover the back and kind of playing it off like it's the micro armor that Verney has, and it's going to fit in there. Well, if not, I can trim it really well. because it is very pliable. So I'm going to get it glued in there, and then I'm going to go over that portion with the metal and then with the toxic spill. I've never painted this stuff before in that manner, so this is going to be a new venture. So let's get this on there and paint it, and we'll see how it turns out. Alright, so we're all painted up and ready to go. It does have that sheen, the very iridescent sheen and stuff. I like how the stuff looks on the steel. Like I said, each different color I've tried it on, it gives it a totally different look. Black is awesome, red is awesome. The going over steel just looks fantastic, loving it. So next what I'm going to do before I put the decals on is I am going to hit it with some Null oil just to deaden down that shine a little bit, just because this is the Wastelands, it's Gaslands. So I don't want to do so much depth with like the Agrax, but I do just want to, dull it down a little bit. So I'm going to do the Null, let it sit, wipe it off, put the decals on. It's going to have some back tracks and some killer front sci-fi looking wheels. Got a weapon picked out, some dropped weapons. Going to stick an engine on there. It looks like it's got a sat nav or something on there. So everything's going to come all together, and yeah, looking very badass. So let's do some Null and some decals, and then we'll take a look at see where we're at. Alright, so everything's all on there, the decals and stuff. The Null oil darkened it up just the amount that I wanted it to darken it up, so looks a lot better. Now I'm going to go through, I'm just going to do a little bit of chipping, and then I'm going to get all the pieces and stuff together and kind of see if I want to do any more kind of weathering. Since it is Verney, they're kind of fancy schmancy, so, but we'll see. I'll chip it first, get stuff together, and then we'll take a look and see if it needs any more weathering or a little bit of rust or anything. So let's get it going. Alright, and there we have it. One tricked out Polestar TRX. Basically just stripped it down, give it a paint job, some cool decals, armor, weapons. Obviously did a wheel swap and everything else. So all in all, it wasn't that complicated of a build, technically. But it does look very, very cool. Looks very Verney. I love the V's on there. V for Verney or Victory or whatever V you want. But let's talk about Verney. As simple as the build is, Verney is not simple. It's not like Maxine type of confusing or challenging, but there are a lot of things you have to remember. When you're building your vehicle, you get the technology and the build perk. Those come with some really cool individual skills in them. You got dead weight, barrel roll, bruiser, splashback, crusher, and feel no pain. These all come in the built category. It can be very cool when putting a build together to make sure you're either getting to go the way you want, you're bigger and badder, it works real well with the RAM and everything else. So yeah, lots of cool stuff going on in builds. Technology, this is where it kind of gets confusing. You have to remember, if you're using rocket thrusters, you're going to go farther. You got whiz bang and gyroscope, and those you kind of also have to know the other skills in the perk category, daring and speed, because with whiz bang you're going to get a random speed perk, and with gyroscope you get a random daring perk. So make sure you know what those ones are as well. Mobile mechanic you have to watch out for. It's going to heal you a whole point, but it's going to be at the start or the cost of a crew member. So if you want to be using that, jack up your crew numbers. Eureka. This is very cool and very, very powerful. Once per game, during your attack step, you can declare a weapon to be any weapon at all facing the specific direction, but it's only for that next attack. Only once per game, so depending on the timing and everything else, this can be really powerful, but watch out for it. Verney is a badass sponsor, very cool. I would say it rates pretty high up there in my favorites. Not going to surpass Rutherford or anything, but still pretty high up there. If you enjoyed this video, you learned something, do me a favor and hit that like button. My goal is to do weekly videos, whether they're vehicle builds, terrain builds, battle reports, whatever. So if that's for you, hit the sub button below, ring the bell to get notified when new content drops. I do sell all my builds pretty inexpensively on my Etsy page, so if you want to see what else I've done, pick something up, you can even request a custom build. If you'd really like to show some love, head on over to our Patreon page and get signed up. Every bit helps keep the paint flowing, the printer printing, and the camera rolling. Until next time, keep your foot on the gas and your finger on the trigger. Gaslands NorCal, signing out. What up, Wastelanders? Christopher here, Gaslands NorCal.